Hey, how's it going? So I will be doing my code walkthrough for the final game programming project, and I'm going to start with just going through the files that we have in Unity. Um, so I was the one responsible for decorating the house, so a lot of this was stuff that I added. Um, I guess starting with textures and materials. I was responsible for most of these. So the wood texture on the walls of the house and the rug texture and even the skybox up here as well. I added in the painting materials I'll get into later, but you can also see that I added all of these polygon packs, and that allowed me to get the assets I needed to actually fully decorate the house. And in the case of the Polygon City pack, I used that to create the butler over here that I also helped design the animations for in the code. So I'll go into that later, but essentially I added those as well as some of the audio. I added the background music in here, and then again, just all the models that are in these Polygon packages here that I downloaded. And then of course, having the scripts folder. So I guess the best to walk through would probably not be the first level. I can actually go to the second and third level because I did more in there. So the second level of the house, my other group partner Danielle used Pro Builder to make the actual structure of the house. And then it was my responsibility to add every item, every decoration in here, and then all of the materials. So like this wallpaper, the wood in here, all these boxes, shelves, the furniture maze, the paintings. I added all of that in using the assets that I had just to give the level some sort of a creepy design. I wanted the game to be very thematic, so I really tried to go above and beyond there to make the house look scary. So that was a big part of what I did, and I can walk through that in the actual game walkthrough. Uh, but I have like a creepy bedroom thing over here, coffin in the corner. Um, and then the paintings were really fun. So I thought it would be a great idea to have these sort of scary paintings scattered all around the house. And, it also made the walls look less bare. So I just found some very creepy art, some that I already knew, and then just some other stuff that I found on the internet, made materials for all of them that I described earlier, and then put them into these painting objects that I had. So that was actually quite a lot of fun, and I think it adds a lot to the house. Another major contribution I had was with the third level. If you see that, I designed this whole thing. I'm really, really proud of how the beach turned out. I think it looks fantastic. I can play through it later in this video just to demonstrate, but I really like the look, especially coming out here. So at the end of the game, you have to make it to the boat, and so I thought it would be cool to have this sort of pattern of islands you had to jump between while avoiding sharks. All right, so the major contribution that I'm going to show is the butler that I created. So he's an NPC that stands here at the door. I use the Polygon City pack to get the model, and then use the FPX exporter package to actually get a file that I could put into Mixamo, which I then got animations for and created. If I go into the animations folder here, a full controller for the Butler avatar, just in the way that we know, the way that it was taught to us, with the transition state that goes between the two states of he's walking around and patrolling or he's talking to the player. So I can show this right now, and I disabled the ghosts because I didn't want to be attacked. But so let's say I sort of walk down the hall out of his line of sight. You can see he starts patrolling around. And then as soon as I walk in and he sees me, he'll give a hint. So watch out for hidden trapdoors. That's a very helpful hint. And then if I walk away, he will go and resume his patrol. That's set up using a navmesh agent, and I just gave him a few points to patrol around just to make it more dynamic instead of walking in a straight line. And then if I go back again, you'll see he gives me another hint. And it's another helpful hint. So I will stop the game now, and I can go into the script that I created for him. So if we go into butler behavior, you can see I have the AI for the NavMesh agent, and then I have my states here for walk and talk. These are just a few constants that I use, but this is my list of hints. So these are just picked at random, and this is what he will tell the player. Um, the start and update are pretty standard for what we had, just getting all the components, finding the next point because we are utilizing a NavMesh agent, and then in update, we're just changing the state that he's in, which is going to trigger those different animations. So, updating the walk state and then updating the talk state here, as well as doing all the calculations to find the next point and see if the player is actually in the field of view. Um, this is the give hint function right here that just chooses the random hint from that array of strings that I showed. And then returning to walk just sets him back to the walk position when the player's gone. Again, there's a find next point, which we've also done before, a face target, and then the standard is player and clear FOV. So all of this combined created a very dynamic AI that I think looks fantastic and I think adds a lot to the game to really sort of show the player what the game's about if they come in blind, right? So like the if a ghost touches you, you'll be knocked out, or there's another hint that says you should get to the beach. I've heard that's the only way to escape. So all of that is really helpful and I think adds a lot to the game. All right, so to close out this code walkthrough, I'm just going to go through some of the other miscellaneous things that I added to this project. I already went through a lot of it because it's very apparent just in the level design, what I added in terms of all of these items. But if we go to the key over here, I actually added a script called animate pickup that makes it bounce up and down. So it was a pretty simple script, not too hard to write, but it just makes it bounce up and down and rotate a little just to make the pickup look better in the game. And it seems more video gamey that way instead of it just being static. So in addition, I also added the particle effect for the ghosts. So whenever you actually hit the ghost with the flashlight, they'll sort of explode into these green particles. I was responsible for doing that. And I also mentioned I added the background music, just sort of some creepy music. Um, I guess I'm good at finding that. I made the trailer as well for our game. So I definitely like sort of using music to affect a certain tone into the game, things like that. So I felt like I was the best to handle that problem. And then also, if we go back to the beach, that was really one of my major contributions, especially at the end of this project. Like, I'd already added all of these decorations to make the game more alive, but the beach was the actual level design itself that I really enjoyed. So you can see I added these bushes around and we actually hid a shiny trinket that gets you more points in the bushes. So that was pretty fun. And then I just kind of used these rocks to make it seem like you were really just in the middle of nowhere. And I even got creative with some of the colliders on the trees to make sure that you couldn't go beyond where you were allowed to go. So oh yeah, and then there's a crashed boat just to give a little more flavor to the environment. And then when the player reaches that final boat out there, if they have the boat key, they win. So yeah, I would say that I definitely contributed a lot to this project, especially in terms of level design. And then with the butler, that was also incredibly fun to make. And I'm glad I got to use all of the AI skills I've learned this semester to do that. So that is the code walkthrough. Thanks for watching, and I hope that anyone who played this game really enjoyed it.